just met these two guys. Your name?
Jesse, how's it going?
Jesse.
I'm Steve.
And Steve, yeah.
Nice to meet you, Jim.
Lovely lads. They're working here. This is the first day working here, so oh well. I hope it goes well for you, lads.
Lovely weather out and everything.
Yeah, it's a shame about all of a sudden we've got this bloody strong wind. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it'll be all right tomorrow apparently. And
Let's hope so. Yeah, it'll blow over.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for you.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Nice to
Look, enjoy.
Lovely to meet you, lads.
You too. Lovely to meet you. Cheers.
Good morning. It's 9:30 on Friday the 5th of April and here I am in Bournemouth in a cafe on the seafront. It's quite noisy in here, I hope you can hear me. There's certainly plenty of people in here this morning sheltering from the strong wind outside, and as you can see it's a pretty rough sea. It's completely different to what it was when I was here about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I'd finished the walks around Swanage and Old Harry and got me into Poole, and I walked along the beach at Poole in about 15-16 degrees of sunshine, talking to lots and lots of people on the beach. Well, it's a completely different story this morning. I mean, since then I think we've had Storm Freya and Storm Gareth, and I'm not sure what this one is that we're getting the tail end of, but it's certainly been wild and windy. Yesterday I drove down from Heartland, where I finished my walk, near where I finished my walk the other day, the long slog into Welcome Mouth, which was nearly 22 miles. Well, I recovered quite well from that. I've had 2 days of sitting doing virtually nothing apart from computer work and editing. I haven't walked far at all. In fact, I even drove down from the campsite down to the local store to get some shopping and back. I just didn't fancy the walk, but I've recovered now. I feel great again. Yesterday's drive down here was a wild and windy affair as well. It took me about 3 hours to get here, and it was through torrential rain and hailstone and sleet and strong winds. And I parked up in exactly the same place in Poole as I parked the last time I was here, in the same street, in the same position almost. And the wind was really rocking the van last night. Apparently there was gusts of wind up to 50 miles an hour, but that just kind of all switched off around 8 o'clock this morning. The wind dropped quite considerably, and I did take a good look at this walk as to whether I was going to do it, but why not? It's windy, it's not pleasant, and there's sand blowing everywhere, but it's the sun's coming out. I think it's going to calm down. They say there's a chance of rain today. Well, I'm well wrapped up. I'm not far from a cafe, so if that happens, it happens. But I just want to get my legs moving again for the next couple of days, because I've got a big one on Sunday where I'm walking from Lulworth Cove to Winspit, which is near Swanage, and that will then complete the whole of the southwest coastal path, which I've said many times before, 620 miles, and I'll be feeling very pleased with myself when that's over. I've looked at my Ordnance Survey maps on my planner and everything, and I can make pretty good progress actually. Places like Southampton and Portsmouth are nowhere near as far away as I first expected, and I should be in Portsmouth within a week, and then from then onwards, once I'm at the other side of Portsmouth, I'm heading for Brighton and Sussex and the south coast. When you consider the distance I've just walked all around the southwest coastal path, this is going to be easy, absolutely, and I'm pleased to say that I'm never going to be walking on the kind of terrain that I've been walking on over the last week. And I think that's all behind me now. I've done all the hard work of this walk now, and it's all kind of downhill from here. Touch wood. So I'm ready to rock, and as we always say, and my friend Ralph, who I'm really missing, here we go. It's 22:11 now, and I've ducked into this diner because of quite a heavy shower. Quite fortunate really that I was near this, because there's very little else open apart from these diners, and it really is. It looks almost like a disaster area outside. There's not many people around. The wind's really howling and the sea's quite rough. It's a very much almost like a serious winter scene, and here we are, now into April. It's amazing, this British weather, isn't it? It's so unpredictable, and I hope it's going to calm down. The longer term weather forecast is to actually calm down. What I didn't mention earlier is my plans for today. I'm going to be leaving. Well, I've left the van in Branscombe, which is part of Poole, as I mentioned earlier, in exactly the same place as I left it when I came here the last time. And my intention today is just to walk as far as I feel like walking. I've got no limit. I've not taken the van to the other end and messed around like that and getting a bus back. I think it's a good idea to just leave the van where it is. I'm not going to have any more of these kind of bus problems. There's hundreds of buses flying around Bournemouth and this area. There's a train as well, so I've got two strings to my bow, more or less, all the way along the south coast now. So things are going to be so much easier for me. So I might make Christchurch or further than that. It depends on the weather, it depends how I feel. There's nothing else to do. I'm bang up to date with all of my computer work, all of my films, all of my messages, everything. And I've just got one or two emails that came in this morning to deal with when I get home. And I had to, this is also the time, bearing in mind that I'm nearly a year, just 1 week away from a year. I'm having to renew my subscriptions with loads of people. As an example, OS Maps this morning. I'm going to have to do my motorhome and caravan club and one or two other things. I've kept everything well up to date, but I've got to sort of sign on for another year. And it's a funny feeling actually to know that I've just got that one stage to do from Lulworth to Winstead, which I mentioned earlier, and then there won't be any more hills for I don't know how long, maybe till I reach certainly Sussex. I know there's a few around Brighton and that way on, and certainly Dover and going along in Kent as well, there's rather a lot. So I'm prepared for that, but they're a long way off yet. But I was looking at my map last night, and it's surprising how quickly I'm going to be able to get to Portsmouth. It should only take me less than a week to get from here to Portsmouth, and that's going right around Southampton, Gosport, all of those places, and including crossing the forest, the New Forest. And I'm looking forward to that. Even though I'm going to be on the coastal path, I won't see much actually of the New Forest, but it's going to be a nice walk, and the weather is going to improve, certainly from Sunday onwards, and it's going to settle down again. Fingers crossed. So I'm just enjoying this very nice cup of tea here, and I'll be drinking lots of tea today. I had a nice breakfast and everything, so I'm feeling good, thoroughly enjoying the exercise and getting out of my van. I've been cooped up in my van for like 3 days, and I've enjoyed it though. It's been lovely. Been doing a bit of reading and forward planning and sending loads of messages and talking, messaging loads and loads of different people, including my mate Darren, who lives in Manchester, and he sent me a message, and I've told him that my daughter Sam has said, get yourself up to Manchester and have a break, Dad, and we'll have a few nights out and all that kind of thing. And so I sent a message to my mate Darren, who saying I'm coming over, can I come and spend a night and let's get the guitars out and have a jam. He's got loads of guitars, he's a good guitarist, and I fancy a bit of a sing-along and a few beers and all the trimmings that go along with a night like that. It should be great, and I'm looking forward to it, Darren. I did actually meet Darren when I was on Anglesey on the day that my camera failed, and we had a really nice interview and everything, and it didn't come out, and I was gutted. And so the following day I did the whole walk again just to get the footage, and such a pity that I didn't catch Darren, but now I've got a chance to get him on camera, which would be really nice. Looking forward to it, Darren. See you soon, mate. Well, I didn't get far from the last cafe before it started to rain, and it's not a worry to me. I don't mind walking in the rain. The only thing is I can't do any filming. The sea's getting rougher and the wind's getting up, and I don't know how long this is going to last. It certainly looks as if it's going to be settled and I'm going to get wet for an hour or two. So when it lets up, I'll try and get some video. I'm not going to risk getting the camera out, and just one of those things. I mean, there's nothing to see anyway, to be honest with you, apart from a rough sea and a wet beach, and not many people around and nothing open, so it's quite timely, really. But this will be the first time I've actually walked in the rain, and as I say, I don't mind that, and it's quite a flat, boring walk anyway, and it just gets the miles under my belt. But when I find something interesting, like another cafe or something, then I'll stop and talk to you again. Well, it's just after 12 o'clock now, and this is my third cup of tea spot since I left. Certainly getting through the tea this morning, but it's great stuff. And these cafes are fabulous. They're all really nice cafes. You can imagine this on a summer's day, or you know, it's completely different today, obviously, because it's still raining. I can't film outside, so I'm just in this little enclosed area here, doing well. I've worked out a plan for the day. I've just sat and had a look at it. I'm going to walk to Christchurch, have a look around there, and I'm going to try and press on as far as Milford-on-Sea. I can get a bus back to Christchurch, I can get a train back from Christchurch into Bournemouth, I can get the number 50 bus from Bournemouth back to where my van is in Poole quite easily. And then tomorrow I can drive to Christchurch, leave the van there, walk to Southampton, and get the train back from Southampton to Christchurch, and that seems to be the easiest way, because it means catching a ferry, which will cut out an awful lot of the walk into Southampton on the west side, and so it makes sense to walk into the centre of Southampton and catch a train, and that's sorted that out, and that will be a nice walk as well. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better, but it's not going to be too exerting, and I reckon I'm only going to be doing about sort of 10 to 12 miles today, and maybe 10 to 12 miles tomorrow or thereabouts. And it's fairly easy to calculate this because there's no hills, so when you measure in distances, that they are actually what it is rather than all the ups and downs, which can be very, very misleading. But it's been a nice break again. I'm enjoying this. It's the first time I've walked in the rain. The cloud is actually lifting now, even though it's still spitting, but it's not too bad. Could be an awful lot worse. Well, I think the rain might have stopped actually, having got to the top of Hengetsbury Hill where there's a lookout, and I noticed in the distance that there's a ferry that runs across to Christchurch, and I've just stopped and talked to a couple who didn't want to be on the video, but they were lovely, lovely people, and they said, well, it runs every 15 minutes, which is really good news. It's like a shortcut to Christchurch, which is great. So I'm just going to make my way down there and then get into Christchurch and see how we go. It's about 1 o'clock now actually, I think maybe, let me just check. No, it's 1:24, so that's not so bad. And say the wind has sort of eased a little bit and the rain has stopped. So that's really good news. I think you only missed about sort of 30-40 minutes of me walking from the end of the promenade that ran all the way from Poole to the end of Bournemouth, and it came down quite heavy then, but it's settled down now. I'm in a bit of a shaded area so I can talk to you here. The wind's still strong and it's been in my face all of the time, but it looks as if it might be clearing up. The cloud is definitely clearing, so I'm feeling quite happy and I'm doing great. It's 2:15 now, and I'm in yet another very nice cafe. Having got off the ferry, which was a big surprise to me that the ferry was actually running, but it's changed my options quite considerably. And so what I'm going to do from here is I'm now at Muddyford, and I'm going to walk along the coast through Highcliffe and to a place called Barton-on-Sea. From Barton-on-Sea I noticed that there's a railway station, so I can walk into the town, catch a train which will take me from Barton right the way through to Bournemouth, or if not beyond, or I can get off the train at Bournemouth railway station, jump on the number 50 bus, and that will take me back exactly to where the van is. And I think that seems to be a pretty good idea. So it's all worked out very nicely today. Looking from here, from inside the cafe, it looks as if it's still raining outside, or it started to rain again. So I'm not so sure about that. But I think by the time I get to Milford, it's going to be around about sort of 3:30, something like that. And that's put in a good shift. That'll have put in about maybe 10, 12, 15 miles. Not entirely sure how many steps I've taken. Well, I've already done 19,981, which is 14k. So I've done nearly 10 miles now. So by the time I get to Barton, it's going to be around about the 12, 13 mile walk, which will be a very good, very productive day. It's 3:30 now, and I've just come off the beach at the suggestion by some local walkers who said I'd be far better coming up the cliff at Highcliffe, and just because the bus stop is not that far away, whereas at Barton you've got quite a long walk, and you've got a long walk along a very pebbly beach, which I absolutely hate. So I've taken their advice, just missed the bus as I walked up to the junction, one went driving past. So I've got to sit here and wait for the next one. The good thing about that is it'll take me into the bus station, and then I'll be able to just jump onto a number 50, which will drop me off just at the end of the road where the van is. So it's all gone pretty well to plan today. I haven't looked yet to see how far I've walked, but I'd estimate maybe 14 miles, something like that. And it's been great. I mean, okay, so it's been windy and it's been raining, but it's been easy, and I've got the spring back in my step. I'm walking well, I'm feeling good. I want more, bring it on.